There's a rumor that never seems to die, that the rich sell gold, and somehow the IRS just never notices. No tax bill, no paperwork panic, no 28% collectibles rate, just quiet wealth transfer. And if you've ever owned gold, or even thought about owning it, you've probably wondered the same thing. Is there a loophole? Is this rigged? Or is everyone just lying? Because here's the uncomfortable truth most videos won't tell you. In the US, you usually can't just sell gold and magically avoid taxes. But that doesn't mean wealthy investors are paying the same way everyone else does. What they're doing is something far more subtle. They're not avoiding taxes, they're avoiding the sale itself. And that distinction changes everything. Before talking strategy, you have to understand why gold is such a tax headache in the first place. Gold isn't treated like stocks, it's not treated like real estate, and it definitely isn't treated like your S&P 500 index fund. Physical gold, coins and bullion, is usually classified as a collectible. That means if you hold it longer than a year, long-term gains can be taxed at rates as high as 28%. If you sell sooner, it's taxed as ordinary income, and high earners may also owe the 3.8% net investment income tax on top of that. And the old trick people still talk about, swapping gold using a like-kind exchange, that door is closed. 1031 exchanges now apply only to real estate, not personal property. So if you bought gold at $1,200 an ounce and sell it at $2,400, the IRS expects a cut. No mystery, no loophole. So why does it look like the wealthy aren't paying? Because most of the time, they never sell the way you think they do. One of the biggest misconceptions about wealthy investors is that they liquidate assets to get cash. Often they don't. Instead of selling gold and triggering a taxable gain, they borrow against assets. Sometimes that asset is gold itself. More often, it's a diversified portfolio that includes gold exposure. Here's the key idea most people miss. Loans are not income. Borrowing against assets does not create a capital gains event. There's interest, yes. There's risk. Markets can move the wrong way. But from a tax standpoint, no sale means no realized gain, and no realized gain means no immediate tax. This is why it can look like money appears out of nowhere, but nothing disappeared. The tax bill was simply delayed. Another quiet move is where the sale happens. Many people assume gold can't be held in retirement accounts. That's mostly true, but not completely. Certain gold coins and bullion are allowed inside IRAs if they meet strict purity and custody requirements. When gold exposure is held inside a traditional IRA or 401k, taxes on gains are deferred until withdrawal. When held inside a Roth IRA, qualified withdrawals can potentially be tax-free. That doesn't mean traditional accounts escape tax forever. It just moves taxation to the future, but in a Roth, appreciation may never be taxed at all. This is why wealthy investors obsess over asset location, not just asset allocation. It's not only what you own, it's where you own it.
Then there's the move that feels almost too simple: charitable giving. If someone already donates regularly, selling appreciated gold first is often the worst possible option. Selling triggers capital gains tax, and then you donate what's left. Wealthy investors often flip that order. They donate the appreciated asset itself. When appreciated gold or qualifying gold exposure is donated to a qualified charity or donor-advised fund, the donor can often deduct the fair market value and avoid realizing the capital gain entirely. The charity sells the asset tax-free. Same generosity, completely different tax result. This isn't a loophole, it's intentional. The tax code is designed to encourage this behavior. Then there's the strategy no one likes to talk about because it feels uncomfortable: holding until death. When assets are passed to heirs, the cost basis is generally stepped up to fair market value at the time of death. That means decades of appreciation can disappear for capital gains purposes. The gain is never realized. Estate taxes are a separate issue and only apply above very high thresholds, but for many families, this rule alone erases a lifetime of capital gains. This is why wealthy families think in generations, not transactions. They're not asking how to sell. They're asking whether selling is ever necessary. Sometimes selling does make sense, but even then, taxes are rarely calculated in isolation. Wealthy investors track gains and losses across everything they own. If gold is sold at a gain, something else may be sold at a loss in the same year. This is tax loss harvesting. Losses can offset gains. Carry forwards can soften future years. Timing can keep income below surtax thresholds. It doesn't automatically reduce taxes to zero, but it can dramatically reduce the damage. Another quiet advantage is simply controlling when the tax shows up.
In certain situations, gains can be spread over multiple years instead of hitting all at once. That can help manage brackets, reduce exposure to surtaxes, and smooth income over time. The wealthy don't just ask how much tax they'll owe. They ask when. And here's a twist that surprises a lot of people. Some popular gold funds are structured so that, for tax purposes, investors are treated as if they own the underlying gold. That means collectible-style taxation can still apply, even though the fund trades like a stock. A ticker symbol doesn't guarantee stock-style taxation. Structure matters. So what does all of this actually mean for regular people? It means the story isn't about cheating or secret loopholes. It's about planning. If you want long-term gold exposure, holding it in tax-advantaged accounts may make sense, if allowed. If you already give to charity, donating appreciated assets instead of cash can be far more efficient. If you're high income, timing and surtaxes matter more than most people realize. And when someone says, the rich sell gold without paying taxes, what they usually mean is this. The rich rarely sell gold the way everyone else does. They defer. They structure. They plan. And that quiet, boring discipline, more than gold itself, is how wealth actually compounds.